Last time we saw the Brahmanas, they chanted the mantra and they killed King Vena. Then after that, because of the absence of a king, the thieves and rogues became prominent and they started plundering all the common citizens. So when the Brahmanas saw that, although the Brahmanas, they had the capacity to kill all these thieves and rogues, but the Brahmanas, they felt that it is improper on their part to do so. Because as an emergency, they killed King Vena. They performed the duty of a Kshatriya. But the emergency duty cannot be performed all the time. So they realized that for the peaceful situation of the country, a proper king has to be appointed who will deal with the rogues and thieves. So therefore, they considered it improper on their part to again resort to violence. So therefore, they did not attempt to stop the disturbance. Next shloka, very important shloka. Brahmana samadrikshanto
ब्राह्मणः समदृक्षान्तो
dīnānaṁ samupekshakah
दीनानां समुपेक्षकः
sravate brahma tasyapi
श्रवते ब्रह्म तस्यापि
भिन्नभाण्डात् पयो यथा.
भिन्नभाण्डात्पयो यथा. The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as a water kept in a cracked pot leaks out.
Brahmanah samadrik shantah. Brahmana, one of the important quality of a Brahmana is that he should be equipoised. He should not take sides. He's supposed to see everyone equally. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Shvapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. And he should be peaceful. Such a Brahmana, who sees everyone equally, but Deenanam Sam Upekshakaha. But if he ignores other people's suffering, then Sravate Brahmatasyapi, his spiritual power diminishes. Bhinnabhandat payoyata, just like a water flowing from a broken pot. So if the Brahmana is seeing in front of his eyes common people suffering, if he does not do anything to alleviate their suffering, and if he simply focuses on his own sadhana, his own spiritual practices, despite seeing that other people are suffering, then his spiritual power will diminish. Therefore, Jive Daya is a very important principle. Name Ruchi, Jive Daya, Vaishnava Seva, all three have to be practiced. If a person is chanting the holy names, Everyone is supposed to chant Srila Prabhupada Society 16 rounds. Once Krishnanand Prabhu asked, as well as Radhanath Maharaj, I like to chant, keep chanting throughout the day, like that he said. Maharaj said that Srila Prabhupada has given the morning program and certain minimum chanting. If you attend the morning program properly, that will be sufficient to protect yourself. Beyond the morning program, you will get more mercy by giving Krishna to others than by doing sadhana all throughout the day. So he emphasized that people keep doing chanting extra rounds throughout the day. Extra rounds can be chanted, but then Maharaj emphasized that when we participate in sharing Krishna consciousness, by that one gains more the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu than by doing sadhana all throughout the day. Therefore, Jive Daya should be the Name Ruchi should be balanced with the Jive Daya. So that is why we see that Lakshmi Devi in her Swayamvara, when she is examining the different categories of people, one of the category of people she rejects is that Dharma Kvachit Tatrana Bhuta Sauhridam. Some people, they practice Dharma, but they are not kind to other living entities. So, for example, Prabhupada says that, okay, there are, say, Christians or Muslims. So, whatever, they say that they are practicing their religion. They are practicing whatever is told in the scriptures. But if they are not kind to other living entities, if they kill the animals, whether Hindus or Christians, Muslims, or even Hindus also, then their practice of Dharma is incomplete. It may be, one may be unkind to others in the form of killing the animals. Or we may be unkind to others in the form of speaking some harsh words. Or thinking ill of others. Say we are chanting the holy name. But within our mind, we are thinking ill of other devotees. Or if they are thinking of ill of others. Some revenge thoughts are going on. We are chanting, chanting the holy name. That is what Lakshmi Devi is saying. Dharma kvachit tatrana bhuta saukrudam. The bhuta saukrudam, enmity towards other living entities can be on the gross platform or with the words or with the mind. So even though one is practicing dharma or one will be chanting the holy names, but if he is unkind to others, either in body, mind or words, then that chanting will not be pleasing to the Lord. One will lose the credit also. Radha Govind Maharaj also says that it also means that suppose somebody is just chanting the holy names, but if he is not trying to help others in Krishna consciousness, if he is only thinking about his own going back to Godhead or his own sadhana, does not try to help others, that's not the right attitude. So, so sometimes people indulge in Jive Daya, but not in. Sometimes people are focused in Name Ruchi, but they are not focused in Jive Daya. That is what this verse says. And sometimes people may be doing Name Ruchi and they may be also doing Jivedaya. But if there is no Vaishnava Sangha, that Vaishnava Seva, then also one can go astray. Bharat Maharaj, he went to the forest, he was performing his daily spiritual practices. And he showed compassion to the deer who was going to drown in the river. He showed a Jivedaya. But because he didn't have association of the devotees, he continued showing Jivedaya only on the bodily platform and he became attached to the deer. Because of no Vaishnava Seva, because of no Vaishnava association, he got carried away by the material compassion towards the deer. And he forgot his spiritual practices, Name Ruchi, Sadhana also. So therefore, all three are important. Therefore, all three are important. Uh, Therefore, true compassion, the true Vaishnava compassion is something very deep. Deep means even when the devotee is suffering himself, still he tries to help others. Parishit Maharaj, he himself is about to die, but he is thinking about the uh, situation of the people in the hellish planets. So that Vaishnava compassion is deep. And the Vaishnava compassion is not simply theoretical, but it is spontaneous. It spontaneously comes from the heart of a person. So, like during the WTC attack, World Trade Center attack, I think 2 decades back it happened. So at that time, some of the devotees, they just reacted, oh, the demons are attacking each other. We have nothing to do. So Hridayananda Das Goswami Maharaj he wrote an article that when people are suffering, although they may be materialistic people, if a Vaishnava reacts in this way without any feelings, then that is not showing the true character of a Vaishnava. So, although it may be a fight between, say, different materialistic people, they are getting killed, but a Vaishnava naturally feels compassion towards them. So, Vaishnava compassion is not simply theoretical, it is spontaneous. One feels a natural feeling of compassion for others. And third is Vaishnava compassion is complete. Sometimes people are compassionate toward the human beings, but not toward the animals, or vice versa. Or some people are compassionate towards the people from a particular community or particular region, but not towards others. But Vaishnava compassion is complete. Lord Buddha showed compassion both towards the animals who are getting killed and the people who are killing the animals. So even Dadichi Muni says, Yetavan avyayo dharma punyashlokair upasitah yo bhuta shoka harshabhyam atma shochati hrishyati. if one is unhappy to see the distress of other living beings and happy to see their happiness, then such a person's religious principles are appreciated as imperishable by the exalted persons who are considered pious and benevolent. Essentially, the quality of paradukka dukki. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukam va yadiva dukkam sayogi paramau mataha. Krishna says that I consider that yogi to be the topmost, who considers others' happiness to be his own happiness and others' distress to be his own distress. So here, therefore, the Brahmanas is saying that although a Brahmana is supposed to be neutral, he should see everyone equally. But when we see that common people are suffering, at that time, if we maintain neutrality, by that we will get contaminated. We will lose our spiritual credits.
Also, Prabhuji, just remember the example of Ranti Dev. He himself suffered so much, but he gave all his food to the others.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. So neutrality. There is a saying which says that the hottest places in the hell are reserved for those people who, in times of great moral crisis, maintain their neutrality. Sometimes people think that, okay, I have nothing to do with this, so let me remain neutral. Oftentimes, sometimes Hindus also, some people think, so anyway, I am not involved in this. Others are getting affected, let me remain neutral. But then, by that neutrality, we will also get implicated. Yeah. So, in the Kurukshetra assembly, 4 people were directly involved in the act of disrobing Draupadi. But many other people, they remained neutral. But because of maintaining their neutrality and not opposing, they also got contaminated by the adharma. They also got contaminated by adharma. That's why the whole sabha is called as Asat Sabha. Because they remained neutral when the adharma was taking place in front of their eyes. So, and also oftentimes people who remain neutral, they end up supporting the wrong party. Bhishma, in one sense, remained neutral. He divided the kingdom into 2, gave one part to Yudhishthira, one part to Kauravas. But he ended up supporting the Kauravas. He ended up fighting for the Kauravas. So therefore, yes, sometimes one needs to be neutral. Say, for example, we take the example of a cow, the tiger. If suppose if 2 tigers are attacking each other, then you remain neutral. You see from a distance. If you go close, if you take one side of one, you may also get attacked. But if a tiger is attacking a cow, then you cannot remain neutral. You should try to protect the cow from the tiger. whatever is within our capacity. Or if two cows are fighting with each other, two bulls are fighting with each other, then also one should not remain neutral. One should try to stop the fight. Not that you take one side and then you protect one bull and try, for the sake of protecting one bull, you kill the other bull. So in that case, we have to stop the fight. When two bulls are fighting, then we have to remain neutral in the sense that we should not take anyone's side, but we should stop the fight. If the bull is attacked by a tiger, then we should protect for the protecting the bull or the cow, we can even kill the tiger. There's no problem. And if we see two tigers are attacking with each other, then you remain neutral. You keep aside. So similarly, basically, if two dharmic people are fighting with each other, then you try to stop the fight. You try to bring peace between them. If a dharmic person is attacked by the adharmic person, then to protect the dharmic person, we should give our support to the dharmic person from the other, to protect him from the adharmic person. And if there is a fight going on between two adharmic people, then don't take anybody's sides and keep a distance from them. Many of the wars which are going on in this world, they basically fight between two adharmic people. US-Iran war. It's not that one side is completely clean, other side is this one. Iran, they actively participated by empowering the terrorists to attack Israel. Iran acted like Pakistan to India, like Iran acted the same way it acted towards Israel. So Iran had its own deficiency. And America has its own, the most terrorist nation. So both are, it's not that one is clean and this one. Both are this one, so one should not take any sides. So in that way, the Brahmanas are saying that if we remain neutral, because the innocent citizens are being attacked by the thieves and rogues. So if we keep quiet, then we will lose our spiritual credits. Srila Prabhupada says, so Brahmanas are mostly devotees. Generally, they are aloof from the material world, because they are busy in the activities of spiritual advancement. This is important for a Brahmana. Sometimes, we may have to be aware of what is going on in the world, but oftentimes in the name of being awareness, one ends up spending so much of time into the different happenings of this world. So the Brahmanas are generally unaware of the happenings of the material world because they are busy with spiritual advancement. But nonetheless, when there is a calamity in human society, they cannot remain impartial. If they don't do something to relieve a distressed condition, then because of such neglect, the spiritual knowledge diminishes. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj told that Prayena Deva Munayo Svavimukti Kama Maunam Charanti Vijane Na Parartha Nishtam Naitan Vihaya Kripanan Vimuksha Yeko Nanyam Todasti Sharanam Brahmatonu Pashit. Generally, many sages, they go to the Himalayas, Svavimukti Kama, desiring their own mukti, liberation. And they observe the vow of silence, Maunam Charanti, Vijane, in a secluded place. Na parartha nishta. They are not interested in the welfare of others. But as far as I am concerned, naitan vihaya kripanan vimukshayekam. I don't want to get liberated alone. Leaving behind all these kripanas who are suffering in forgetfulness of you. Nanyam todasya sharanam brahmatonu pashye. I don't see any other shelter apart from you for the suffering people of this world. So Prabhupada quotes that verse. In the elevated condition, Brahmanas are called Vaishnavas. And there are two types of Vaishnavas. There are two types of Brahmanas, Brahmana Pandita and Brahmana Vaishnava. So, a Brahmana who is naturally very learned, but when his learning is advanced in understanding the Supreme Lord, he becomes a Brahmana Vaishnava. So the saintly persons thought that although Vena was very sinful, he was born in a family descending from Dhruva Maharaj. Therefore, they felt that the semen in the family must be protected by the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, they wanted to take some steps to relieve the situation. That means they wanted to appoint a proper qualified king. So what they are going to do? The next shloka. Nangasya vamsho rajarshehe
नाङ्गस्य वामसो राजर्षे
yesha samsthatumārhati.
ये सा संस्थातुमम् अर्हति
Amogha virya hi nripa
अमोघवीर्या हि नृपा
vamshesmin keshavashrayah.
वंशेऽस्मिन् केशवाश्रयः. Translation. The sages decided that the descendants of the family of the saintly king Anga should not be stopped, for in this family the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord.
So the sages are thinking the dynasty of Anga, who is a Raja Rishi, a saintly king, should not be destroyed. Yesha samsthatum na arhati. Because Amoga Virya Nripa, kings of unfailing strength, Amoga Virya Nripa, Asmin Vamshe, in this particular Vamsha, Keshavashraya, who have taken shelter of Lord Krishna, they have appeared in this world in the past. So Keshavashraya and Amoga Virya, two words important. Kings of infallible strength who had taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, they had appeared in this dynasty. So sometimes, see, the dynastic politics, it may not be ultimately fully condemned, it cannot be fully praised also. But dynastic politics, in the past, all the kings would be, the particular king from a particular dynasty would be appointed. Because at that time the samskaras were followed properly. So therefore, so that particular kula of the Brahmanas, or particular kula of the Kshatriyas, particular kula of the Vaishyas, that legacy would continue. So they were very particular about choosing the king in the particular kula only. So it is just a DNA theory. The DNA genes carry forward actually. Just like we are, somebody may be particular about choosing a particular branded cloth, particular branded cooling glass, particular branded mobile phone. Similarly, particular brand of a dynasty, they would appoint a king from that only. In that way, there is it's a bona fide. At the same time, as the time progressed, especially Kali Yuga progressed, people without exhibiting the particular qualities and not discharging the responsibilities, when they simply claim for a particular position based on the birth in a particular dynasty, without performing the responsibilities or without exhibiting the qualities, then the acharyas condemned that. Dynastic politics. Just because of taking birth in a Gandhi family, one is made. Like in Tamil Nadu, Udayanidhi Stalin. He says Sanatan Dharma should be eradicated. And he asks, what is Sanatan Dharma? We are talking about the discrimination, caste system, birth-based caste system. But then if he himself was appointed as a deputy chief minister, although there are hundreds of people were there in the party were much more experienced and senior to him, but he was appointed as the deputy chief minister only because of the fact that he is born in that family, Stalin's son. So if he's against the caste system, then first thing is that he should not have accepted the deputy chief minister post, which was awarded to him, although he is inexperienced. It was awarded to him only because of birth in a particular district. So people, the dynastic politics is used for a wrong reason, for a selfish reason, that also needs to be condemned. But here, because Anga Maharaj is a Raja Rishi, for great people, great kings of unfailing strength, they appeared. So therefore, the purity of the semen of Anga got contaminated in association with Sunita. And therefore, Vena was born, a cruel king. But then, now the Vena is died, but still they felt that in the Vena's body, the same semen of Anga Maharaj and the Dhruva Maharaj are flowing. The purity is there. If we can separate out the impurity, if we can absorb only the purity, maybe the good king, a Rajarshi king, can again be born in the same dynasty. Sages were thinking of that. So Vyasadeva also, you see, Vyasadev's semen is so pure, the Supreme Lord. But Vyasadev's semen got contaminated by association with Ambika, who closed her eyes, was reluctant to receive Vyasadev. Therefore, Dhritarashtra, a blind person, was born. Not only physically blind, but also spiritually blind. So, Vyasadev's semen is like the prasad of Vishnu. But when the Vishnu prasad is received by an unqualified person, Ambika, who was reluctant, the result is the birth of Dhritarashtra. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that Amoga Virya, the pious seminal succession in the twice-born families of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas also must be kept very pure by the observation of the Garbhadana Samskara. Unless this samskara is strictly observed, especially by the Brahmanas, the family descendants become impure and gradually sinful activities become visible in the family. Maharaj Anga was very pure because of the purification of semen in the family of Dhruva. However, it became contaminated with association with Sunita, therefore Vena was born. So all the sages considered this point and they decided to take action in this manner. Vinischityaivam ऋषयो विपन्नस्य महीपतेः ममन्तुरूरुं तरसा तत्रासीद् बाहुको नरः. Right?
Translation. After making a decision, the saintly persons and sages churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force and according to a specific method. As a result of this churning, a dwarf like person was born from King Vena's body.
So Vinishchitya, after thinking in this way, what did they do? Mamantuhu. Urum. They churned the thigh of the dead King Vena. So we saw in the last week that Vena's mother Sunita preserved the body of Vena by using some herbs. So therefore the body was still there. Therefore they churned the thigh of the dead king. And Tatrasid Bahuko Naraha, a dwarf-like personality appeared. So first the Bahuka represents the adharma. So you see that Anga Maharaj's semen was pure, but because it got contaminated by the contact with Sunita, therefore Vena was born. So Sunita comes in the family of adharma. So now when they churned the body of King Vena, the first personality was born is Bahuka. Bahuka represents that adharma, the mother's portion. So first the Bahuka was extracted and separated. Just like when the Devatas churned the milk portion, first the Kalakuta poison appeared and that got separated and finally the Amrit appeared. The Bahuka represents the sinful reactions of Vena, the adharma portion. It was separated and extracted from the body. So Prabhupada says that the person was born by the churning of the king's Vena proves that the spirit soul is individual and separate from the body. The sages could beget another person from the body of the dead king Vena, but it was not possible for them to bring Vena back to life. Vena was gone. But the saintly persons are only concerned with the body of Vena because it comes in the disciplic succession of Dhruva Maharaj, the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj. Therefore, the ingredients by which another body could be produced were there in the body of Vena. So they had a certain power by the following a certain process. Another body came out, that is the body of Bahuka. So it was not something, when the Bahuka came out, it was really not very astonishing. It was simply a question of knowing how to do it. From the semen of one body, another body is produced, and life symptoms are visible due to the souls taking shelter of this body. So one should not think that it was impossible for another body to come out of the dead body of Vena. Can repeat. Kaka Krishnoti Hraswango.
Kakakrishnote Raswango
Hraswabhahurmahahanuhu.
Raswabahur Mahahanuhu
Hraswapan Nimna Nasagro.
Raswapana Nimna Nasagro
Raktakshastamra Murdajah.
Raktakshas Tamra Murdajaha. This person, born from King Vena's thighs, was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as crow's. All the limbs of his body was very short, his arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair copper color.
Kaka Krishna. Krishna means black. But what kind of black? Kaka, black like a crow. Ati Hraswango. Rasva itself means short. Ati Rasva means very short in stature. Hrasva Bahu, he had short arms. And Maha Hanuhu, Hanu means jaws, he had a big jaws. And Hrasva Pan, short legs. Nimna Nasagra. Nasagra means the nose, the front portion of the nose. Nimna, flat nose. Raktaksha, red eyes. Tamra Murdaja, copper colored hair. And then he asked, Tam tu tetu avanatam deenam kim karomi iti vadinam nishidet abruvam stata sanishadas tato bhavat. And that Bahuka avanatam, he bowed down humbly and asked that Kim karomi, what shall I do? And the sages said that Nishida, sit here. And therefore, that Bahuka and his descendants, they became known as Nishada tribe. Sa Nishadas tato bhavat. He became, the descendants became known as Nishada tribe. The Shastras say that the head of the body represents the Brahmanas, the arms represent the Kshatriyas, the abdomen represents the Vaishyas, and the legs beginning with the thighs represent the Shudras. The Shudras are sometimes called black or Krishna. The Brahmanas are called Shukla or white. The Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are a mixture of black and white. However, those who are extraordinarily white are said to have a skin produced out of white leprosy. It may be concluded that white or a golden hue is a color of a higher caste and black is the complexion of the Shudras. Of course, these kind of purports in the modern day, there are so many atheistic people, they are held against the Manu Samhita. The Manu Samhita says that, oh, Brahmanas are born from the head, Shudras are from the legs. How can you say like that? Therefore, we should burn the Manu Samhita. So, these are some of the main points of contention by them. But when we historically see, one of the reasons why they, suppose, for example, suppose in a hospital, some doctors have mistreated certain nurses. They spoke little in a disrespectful way towards the nurses or the other support staff. And then, so those support staff, they keep that in mind. And then they start a movement out of it for the next 200 years against the doctors. So, because the mind has a tendency to disproportionately magnify it, actually. Doctors may have mistreated, but then the support staff, they keep that so much, they keep, it goes deep into their heart and their mind magnifies to such an extent, and they start a separate, suppose a political party or an organization. And then for the next few, many hundreds of years, they start revolting against the doctors only. A mistake might have happened, but more than that, the mind magnifies to such an extent and they go against the doctors. So that is how it has happened. Yeah, there were certain Brahmanas who may have disrespected people in the lower community or something. It has happened. Bhagavatam also says that Kali Yuga began with that. Shringi, an arrogant Brahmana, he cursed Parikshit Maharaj. That mistake is there. But then the people who got oppressed, the mind disproportionately magnifies and they started a political movement for so many generations to come. They keep giving the same narrative actually. So this also shows that how it is important to respectfully deal with somebody. Because when we disrespect somebody, then people can make they can uh, magnify it. They can keep that in their mind, and then they start a legacy of that hatred. And for generations to come, for decades to come, people start revolting. So they revolt against these statements. Oh, Brahmanas are from the head, Shudras from the legs. They revolt against such statements. The last shloka. Tasya vamsyastu naishada
तस्य वंशस्तु नैषादा
girikanana gocharaha
गिरिकाननगोचराः
येनाहरज्जायमानो
येनाहरजायमानो
वेणकल्मषमुल्बणम्.
वेणकल्मषम् उल्बणम्. Translation. After his Nishada's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nishada class are always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering, and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forests.
So this Bahuka, from the Nishada race came. So Vena Aharat Jayamano, Vena Kalmasham Ulbanam. Because of accepting the Vena Kalmasham, the terrible sins of Vena on being born, the descendants of Bahuka, the Naishadas, they inhabit the mountains and the forests. Girikanana Gocharaha. So the descendants of this Bahuka, Naishadas, they were very low in the birth. So Naishadas are not allowed to live in the cities and towns because they are sinful by nature. So their bodies are also very ugly and their occupations are sinful. They are also sometimes called Kiratas. The Bhagavatam shloka comes Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abira Shumba Yavana Kasadaya. So even these sinful men can be delivered from the sinful condition to the topmost Vaishnava by the mercy of a pure devotee. Shuddhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. Therefore, bhakti can elevate a person however sinful they may be. Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepisyu papayonayah striyo vaishya sata shudra stepiyanti paramgata. When we see the Purushottam Mass, what is the essence of the Purushottam Mass? So there are, one is called as a Bhu Akarshana Shakti. Bhu Akarshana Shakti, basically gravitational force. Whatever we throw up, it comes down because the earth attracts everything to come down. That is called as Bhu Akarshana Shakti. But there is another Shakti which is exactly opposite to this. That is Krishna Akarshana Shakti. Anybody who is very low, who is very unqualified, who is very low, but when he approaches Krishna, Krishna elevates that person to the highest position by his Krishna Akarshana Shakti. The Bhu Akarshana Shakti pulls everything down, but Krishna Akarshana Shakti pulls the lowest thing to the highest position. The Mala Mass or Adhika Mass was rejected by everyone. It was considered to be the lowest of everything. Everyone considered Mala Mass to be unfit to perform any auspicious activity. But the Mala Mass When he took shelter of Krishna, Krishna elevated the Malamas, Adhikamas by sharing his own name, Purushottam Mas, and elevated to the highest of all the months by his Krishna Akarshana Shakti. And that is the essence of the shloka. Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepi syu papa yonayah striyo vaishya sata shudra stepi yanti paramgatim. So the devotional service to Krishna elevates a person. So with this we end the 14th chapter. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I have one question.
Hmm.
So regarding the good qualities, it was mentioned the Brahmana should have good qualities, otherwise it diminishes the spiritual prowess. So regarding now for a sadhaka, as it is said that yasyatir bhakti rakinchana surate samasate sura, that verse, Hari abhakta sva kutumahatma. So, Prabhuji, sometimes I'm talking about myself. Sometimes while going in train and all that, if some comes, sometimes I give something, sometimes I have something, then also sometimes I don't give. So, Prabhu, this type that Jiva Daya and all that is not fully coming now. So if all the good qualities have to come, then it will take many, many births. So is it that doing proper sadhana will one develop good qualities gradually, or one has to try by his own also? Yeah, definitely one has to try by his own, but how can one do that so that there will be some difference between Brahmana and Vaishnava, no? Because sometimes Brahmanas, they consider themselves as, oh, we are Brahmanas. But Vaishnava understands that he is the everyone is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So this is my question: how to develop such good quality?
Good qualities, yeah, it comes as a result of bhakti also. And also it is said that Raghunath Maharaj was mentioning recent initiation class. When a person takes Vaishnava Diksha, one should also try to live by the qualities expected of a Vaishnava. That is, because one is formally connected to a parampara. He said, to live by the qualities expected of a Vaishnava, he said, Vaishnava is compassionate to every living entity in the universe. So when we hear this quality, that itself deeply humbles us.
Yes,
So
yes.
he said, so therefore he said it is not, because at least we have to live by certain qualities or be a gentlemanly person, what Prabhupada said. Because of being connected to a sampradaya, sometimes even though one may not feel like, one is supposed to live by the qualities. So
Yes, yes.
both efforts are there. Bhakti also produces good qualities and is also supposed to, one should put effort to live by those qualities.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, there were four things you had mentioned once in your class, like a test of a warrior, then there was a test of a wife in the
Acha,
case
acha.
of a test of in case of misfortune, and one was test of a scholar, how well he can speak Srimad Bhagavatam, and which was the fourth thing?
The test of the gold is when it is put in fire.
Ah, right, okay.
Test of a warrior is when he faces the battle. The test of a wife is during times of adversities. The test of a scholarship is his ability to explain the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a Subhashita. I'll show you the shloka. Hutashane Hataka Sampariksha. Vipattikale Grihini Pariksha. Ranastale Shastrabrutam Pariksha. Vidyavatam Bhagavate Pariksha. This is the shlok. Harish.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
We'll end here. Mantara Shri Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavatam ki jai.